In January of this year, a 37-year-old mother named Renee Good was shot and killed by a federal immigration agent during a traffic stop in Minneapolis. A few weeks later, a 37-year-old nurse, an ICU nurse at that, veteran ICU nurse named Alex Peretti was shot and killed by Border Patrol agents in the same city. Both of them were American citizens. And Kristi Noem, the former Secretary of Homeland Security, stood in front of cameras and called them both domestic terrorists. Before any investigation, before any evidence, before the video footage that contradicted her story was even processed. That was January, and this month she was fired. But here's the question nobody's asking loudly enough right now. If two dead American citizens were not enough to remove her, what finally was? I feel like the answer is more complicated and more revealing than the headlines are suggesting. So let's break it down. I'm going to take you to the 2 days of congressional hearing earlier this month because that is where everything kind of unraveled. Noem sat before the Senate and House Judiciary Committees and faced questions about the $200 million advertising campaign she oversaw, one that urged undocumented immigrants to self-deport. The ads read mostly in English and they prominently featured one face, hers. When lawmakers asked whether the president approved it, she said yes. Trump told Reuters that the same day that he never knew anything about it. Those two statements cannot be true. Now, there was some internal communication that later revealed Noem personally selected the firms behind a $1 million ICE recruitment campaign, bypassing the competitive bidding process normally required for federal contracts. Despite warnings from career staffs that other bidders could do the job for less, that is when Trump moved. She's the first cabinet secretary to be removed in Trump's second term, effective March 31st, which is next week. Oklahoma Senator Markwayne Mullins takes over. Trump called him a MAGA warrior and a former undefeated professional MMA fighter. Noem was quietly moved to a newly created diplomatic role called Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americans. Now, social media has been buzzing with one theory that is the firing I want to address directly. A lot of people online are saying Noem was fired not because of the Minneapolis shooting or the ad campaign, but because she was becoming too visible, too powerful, too much of a public face for policies and administration that wants to quietly distance itself from that ahead of midterms. And honestly, when you look at the timelines, I feel like that theory really holds up, right? Half of Americans now support abolishing ICE entirely. According to YouGov polls from earlier this month, 58% say Trump is going too far in deportations. That's up from 48% just last April. Daily immigration arrests have already dropped from 1,500 a week to roughly about 1,200. High-profile planned operations in Chicago and Washington have been quietly shelved for now. The policies are not changing. The face delivering them is a Noem exit is not clean. Congressional Democrats have sent a criminal referral to the Justice Department, urging an investigation into whether she lied under oath during her testimony about the Minneapolis operation and the DHS contracts. Minnesota's Governor Tim Walz said that she did a stunning amount of damage, but added that firing her is not enough. He's calling for a complete overhaul of DHS and impartial investigation into the death of both Alex Peretti and Renee Good. The same should be said about the killing that happened in New Year's to a black fellow as well. Keith Porter, in Los Angeles, California. It was basically New Year's Eve, the 31st of December, 2025. He was a U.S. citizen. Authorities said he raised the rifle at the officer. His family disputes that account entirely. And now the Minneapolis mayor, Jacob Frey, posted 2 words on social media: good riddance. So here's what I want to keep thinking about. A DHS official speaking anonymously on CBS News said something that stayed with me. When we gaslight and contradict what the public can plainly see with their own eyes, we lose all credibility, and it's going to damage our reputation for a generation. That was a DHS insider talking about their own department during Noem's tenure. And the new face that's coming to the door, The question is whether the institution coming with it has actually changed or whether this is a quieter version of the same machine. You can tell me that in the comment section. While every camera has been pointed at raids, courtrooms, and congressional hearings, something else has been happening quietly in the background, and it affects people who have done absolutely everything right. Legal immigration is collapsing, everyone. I want you to hear that clearly. Not undocumented immigration, legal, the green card applications, the work visas, the student visas, the family petitions, the years of waiting attorney fees and documentations. The system, the right way, is shrinking fast. Visitors visa issuance dropped by 136,000 compared to the previous years. Student visa issuance nearly fell by 13,000, and over 21,000 fewer international students are enrolled in STEM programs specifically. Now, green cards issued abroad dropped about more than 20%. Refugee admissions, which were around 105,000 in 2024, have collapsed to somewhere between 1,200 to 7,500 in 2026. That is a reduction of over 90%. 90%. Now, on the 21st of January, the State Department announced an indefinite pause on immigrant visa processing, which we did an episode on in our playlist. So, for nationals of 75 countries, no end date, no timeline, just pause. For people who have been in the legal pipeline for years, these words land like a door slamming shut. And as I mentioned, the diversity visa lottery, the one of the only legal pathways specifically designed for countries that are underrepresented in the US immigrations, particularly across Africa and Asia, Middle East, have been administratively suspended. And here's the part that people on social media are connecting, and they're right to connect it. While the legal pathways are being cut to for nurses and students and families, the administration simultaneously introduced a $5 million gold card, a proposed pathway to permanent residence for wealthy regions nationals willing to make a significant financial investments. Now, the door closes for the teacher, the student, the mother trying to reunite with her child after years apart. Okay, and it opens wide for millionaires, those in the upper echelons of society. Now, I'm not going to tell you what to think about it, but I do think it's a question worth, sitting with. What does a country immigration system say about what the country actually values? If you're currently navigating any legal immigration processes, a pending petition, a visa application, a green card in process, do not assume your timeline is what it was 6 months ago. Get in front of the qualified immigration lawyer if you're able to afford it, not when something goes wrong. Try to do it now. And we've been hearing the back and forth between Trump announcing a 5-day pause on all strikes targeting Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure. He said the US and Iran, and I quote, very good and productive conversations, and that both sides have, I quote, major points of agreements towards the ending the war entirely. Now, markets have turned immediately, oil dropped, stocks have climbed, people exhaled, but that was a manipulation tactic. And then Iran poked. Iranians officials denied and are denying any talks that took place, saying whatever communication existed happened through mediators, not face to face, not direct. And even as Trump announced the pause, Israel continued striking Tehran overnight. The story is becoming comical right now. A lot of people are saying this president is delusional. Just a lot going on. Iranians denying any communication. The president of the United States saying things are going fantastic. Just recently, as of today, March 24th. A new secretary is coming. The enforcement infrastructure he's inheriting still standing, and the legal immigration system that millions of people are depending on to bring them here the right way is quietly being dismantled at the same time. No one is looking for the gap between what gets announced and what actually changes for families on the ground. That is the story this channel exists to tell. So share it, subscribe, and come back, because this week it's not done yet. There's so much that we want to cover, but we'll leave it at that. Until next time, I leave you all in the care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fi amanillah.